Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Pallet the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop us a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys and it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 84 of Imperium magazine and it is the lackluster of our last 10 issues. This is the Adeptus Mechanicus Skitarii Marshal. It's not a bad mini, it's got quite a bit of detail. However, compared to the 3 Paragon Warsuits we've had, Illuminor Xerus, which we get in issue 90, the Redemptor Dreadnought, the Inquisitor that we're going to get, this is the lackluster issue in my opinion. I don't feel an affinity to the Adeptus Mechanicus. They're a bit, you know, they look cool, but at the same time they're a bit meh. And this doesn't feel right for the kind of a final bowing out, essentially, that they could do with the Adeptus Mechanicus. They could have given us things like the Castellan robots, which they would have had to split into 3 issues in all honesty, or something like that, or spread it out as much as they possibly could. They could have given us a tank, they could have given us some siege weaponry, they just could have given us something pretty damn decent instead of the Skitarii Marshal. Because now we have 3 HQ units for the Adeptus Mechanicus, but we only have 10 Skitarii warriors and the 3 destroyers or breachers, whichever one you made, and that's it. So it feels like there's something missing, and they could have done something to make it much better, and given us something a bit more fighty than another HQ unit, in my opinion. You may disagree with me, and you are more than welcome to disagree with me. I'm not right on a lot of things, and I never will claim to be, but I just feel like this tiny little sprue just doesn't feel like much. It feels a bit lackluster and a little bit forgettable, in all honesty. Anyway, now that's out of the way, let's jump into this week's issue, shall we? So of course we are firstly greeted by our Skitarii Marshal, the Cybernetic Field Commander. So, Skitarii Marshals are battlefield leaders drawn from the most experienced of the Adeptus Mechanicus' Skitarii soldiers. They are able to process battlefield data with lightning speed and efficiency, directing their augmetic warriors with skill and precision. Of course, the Skitarii Marshal has some pretty cool gear though that they can carry. The control stave, which is a pretty cool bit, which kind of shows their marshal's rank. They have a servo skull that accompanies them as well, which is a device fitted with transceivers and communications equipment that allow marshals to direct the line of fire from his Skitarii soldiers. He has a radium serpenter, which is a pretty cool irradiated ammunition firing weapon, which is pretty damn cool and not too bad, and it can turn battlefields into radiation blasted wastelands, should I say. And they also have their enhanced bionics, of course, as well, like every other Skitarii. So not too bad, but yeah, a little bit lackluster. As of, well, with this, of course, as per usual, you got your battle record on the other side of the page, so you can name the Skitarii Marshal, you can give them their title, you can name the control stave, the radium serpenter, and the servo skull as well, if you wish to. And of course, obviously, with all these battle records, it makes the armies more unique and more your own, which is pretty cool. It's not too bad, really, is it? It works out quite nicely. Then moving on, we have more information about one of the other factions from 40k, the Aeldari. So this is Paths of Asuryani. So the Aeldari who make their homes aboard the craft worlds refer to themselves as the Asuryani. These Aeldari foresaw the apocalyptic events of the Fall and fled before its occurrence. They have avoided the excesses and depravity that saw the downfall of their kin, thanks to disciplined, aesthetic way of life. I've said that very wrong, didn't I? By adhering to distinct paths of self-development and service, the Asuryani temper their tendency towards obsession. So, obviously, the Aeldari use the craft worlds and may progress through that. The downfall, obviously, mentioning when it goes into excesses and depravity, was essentially the forces of Slaanesh corrupted parts of the Aeldari and became the Drukhari and stuff like that. If I remember my lore rightly, I'll probably get corrected, and I probably am wrong. However, the Dark Elves from Warhammer, the old world, were kind of partially tempted by Slaanesh and kind of changed their ways along the lines of Slaanesh, and some of their kind of some of the space elves like the Aeldari and Warhammer Age of Sigmar and 40K and Old World elves have a very, very similar shared history in a way, and they broke up in all these different bits and pieces because of their temptations by Slaanesh. So that's kind of how it evolved, if I remember rightly, with all my lore. Anyway, moving on, we get a bit of information about the Outcasts, Warriors, and Seers. So 3 different castes and different paths that the Aeldari can choose, and all have their own unique kind of traits and abilities, and make them a little bit more unique. Then moving on, we get a new story as well, so some more 40k kind of fiction. So Magnitha Primus. So the industrial world of Magnitha is riven by a wave of Xenos cult violence. As the tainted masses rebel against their Adeptus Mechanicus overseers, a Tyranid fleet arrives in orbit, unleashing a planet-wide invasion that threatens to devour the Omnissiah's sacred works. So, with a lot of places in 40k, different worlds obviously have different kind of threats. Magnitha has the threat of not only having traitors and having these rebels and stuff like that that are trying to kind of overthrow the Imperium forces on this planet. They also now have the additional kind of challenge of fending off the Tyranids at the same time. So you're fighting a war on 2 fronts from 2 different enemies, which don't always go very well. And this is generally the kind of what normally happens with the Tyranids. Always show up at a bad time for the Imperium and do a lot of destruction, which is always a little bit different. Then obviously the story carries on for quite a bit. We do get an interesting picture. We get this Onager Dune Crawler, which in all honesty I would have preferred this as part of one of the models from the last 10 issues. This would have been fantastic because it's a really kind of cool crab looking tank unit, which is bizarre but kind of cool at exactly the same time. So, you know, Adeptus Mechanicus like these mechanical units, and that is a pretty damn cool one, in my opinion. I do genuinely like that one, because it looks cool, it looks fun. Anyway, moving on, we get to the end of the story. We get a how to build guide, so this is fairly simple in all honesty. It's a small sprue, you're not going to go wrong, I'm absolutely sure with it. There are no alternate build options for this mini, so have a bit of fun with it. It will take you no time at all to build, I am absolutely sure of it. Painting it, fairly simple as well. So you paint it the same way you painted all your other Skitarii. So it's generally very, very easy to do. Have fun painting it. If you've painted up a different colour scheme from the Adeptus Mechanicus in the magazine, like I personally did, although I've not actually finished all of them, you know, obviously you don't need to follow this exactly, so it's up to you though. But it's a pretty decent paint guide. If you're going for the generic Adeptus Mechanicus look, this is a really, really good paint guide to follow to get the same look, and it teaches you all the techniques to make it look pretty damn good at the end of it, and it will look spot on. I'm absolutely sure of it for you. But yeah, not too bad. Then we get a little bit of extra rules for the Adeptus Mechanicus and their warlord traits. So obviously they do have a lot of other tech bits and pieces which you get from the codex. So if you need more information, if you are building a good old Adeptus Mechanicus army, by all means pick up the codex. It will help you out far better than the rest of the magazine will. The magazine just likes to break things down a little bit for you with its tutorials, which is very, very handy to have, in all honesty. Then we've got our data sheet for the Skitarii Marshal. He has a power of 3. It's not too bad of a, unit. It'll do the job that you need it to do. And obviously he has a control edict as well, as part of his rules. And then finally we have our battle for this week. So the radium of that. So this is a 50 power battle, so this is slightly lower than we've had over the past couple of weeks, which have been 75 power. Next week, I'm sure we'll have another battle that'll be 50 to 75 power, I imagine, which will be really good. It is a Necron issue next week as well, which will be cool. So, because next week we get our Hexmark Destroyer, which is a pretty cool looking unit, and it goes with your other destroyers. And he's not too bad, he's a pretty cool one. And then, issue 86, 87 and 88 are parts 1, 2 and 3 of the Redemptor Dreadnought Mini. Now, the Redemptor Dreadnought, pretty cool. It does have alternate build options, or should do, as long as they're sending us the normal box sprue. It's a cool unit. It's pretty damn good. Issue 89 is our Inquisitor Xenos, which is the cool looking one with a little dragon bird thing. And then issue 90 is Illuminor Xeros from a Necron range, who is super cool and looks pretty badass, and will be really, really good fun to do. So, we have some really cool stuff to look forward to. So, it's not too bad. We've got the dull issue out of the way now, kind of. So, this is the good bit. We'll get into some really good issues. Obviously, having our Redemptor Dreadnought split across 3 issues does make it a bit of a pain in the backside to build and paint. However, it will be absolutely fine. So, do not worry about it. We're going to get some really cool stuff, and it's going to be good fun in the end. Now, thank you very, very much for watching. There will be a Stormbringer magazine video at some point this week, hopefully. Just need to wait for the magazine to be delivered to my newsagents, because it just didn't turn up for some unknown reason. So, who knows what's happening there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.